down, Mr. Toko. You're out of order.
Make him say the pledge today.
Mr. Toko, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. 214.25 roll call and attendance, Ms. Hines.
Let's see, Miss Abney Mitchell. Oh, stop, okay, present. Miss Hines, present. Miss May, present. Mr. Neal's absent. Mr. Cox, absent. And President Grace, absent. And Dr. Weaver.
Yes.
So we have 4-3.
All right. Item 215.25, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens that wish to speak? I'll take just a moment to publicly congratulate Mr. Ambrose on his great victory and joining us in January. 216.25, Finance Committee review and discussion. Ms. May.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Moving us along with our Finance Committee agenda, we have, instead of Mrs. Polakevich this evening, we will have Mrs. Curry presenting the scissor lift kit and installation.
Yes, so the board is being asked to approve the purchase of a scissor lift for use at our Career Tech Center in our automotive class. The scissor lift with light kit will replace an alignment rack that was put into service between 1993 and 1995. The teacher has met with the advisory committee that is composed of or comprised of industrial partners, and they agree that this is an important piece of equipment to replace to ensure the safety of students. He has also secured funding for this equipment through the Margaret Dunning Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization. So if approved, the purchase would be charged to the Margaret Dunning Foundation grant and will not exceed a total of $40,817.98. And the equipment would be purchased through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing. I'd like to say that I know a whole lot about lifts, but I do not. But it looks like all the information is in the packet with pictures and so forth as well.
That's great.
Are there any questions?
One quick question, with the Wayne RESA passing with the Career Tech, will we be getting additional funds from Wayne RESA for some of our Career Tech programs?
Do you mean with a renewal?
Yeah.
So
we
we
get
would,
through state aid, we get money, we also have grants that we get for
CT grant.
correct.
But I don't know about Wayne Reese have given us any.
Because it was on the ballot for them, for the CTE programs for the Wayne County.
So it's still some of those classes in there, like your medical classes, your health
Oh, they're
classes.
just talking about, they give us a percentage of that enhancement grant, they give all the districts, and those are the type of things that people use the money for at districts. They're giving examples of what districts can, use the money for.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's
They ain't
unrestricted,
giving us
so
nothing.
it can be used anyway.
We're making some phone calls now.
All right, any
You
other
better.
questions or comments?
I have a question and a comment. When our community partners and sponsors from Ford came last month, I had the opportunity to go over there with them at the Career Tech, and they was amazed about the equipment that we had. One of the young ladies said, y'all have Ford equipment in here. So I was just honored that me and Melody was standing there and could take that comment from somebody that's in the automotive business and saying what we have, the tools that we have for our students is at the top of the line. So this is not coming out the general fund at all?
Correct, it is not.
Well,
Okay.
there is a short, a little teeny bit.
Oh,
Because the
well
bill's
then I
for
apologize.
42,203, and the grants like
Oh, 40, okay, then I
There is a
misspoke.
teeny little bit that we will have to pay.
About $1,000.
Yeah, about 1,000.
Okay.
All right?
So I have another question, and this is my part for the meeting. Okay, because you keep jumping in, moving us along. That's my part. Reclaim my time. No. So installation, that's a part of the quote that we received as well? Or will we have to cover installation as well?
They're removing the existing rack, so.
Is it, and I wasn't, is it Carla, is it a lift for the auto mechanics, Jen?
Yes.
It
Yeah,
is,
they-
so
There's, yeah, it has to be.
lift
And I would-
station, swing
I would
jacks.
bet everything
Oh,
that
removal
it
of
has to be. If it's gonna-
existing.
If they're gonna remove, they're gonna replace typically.
That's usually standard off.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
replace on here, so.
Yeah, it
Oh, it
is.
does?
Yeah, it
Okay.
says replace.
But that, yeah, that would have to be part of that
Put
package.
in that work for about the same price.
Yep.
Yeah, this is-
Okay. So we're thinking that replace means install, and I see on here it says
Yeah.
scissor lift kit and installation, but I just wanted to be sure, because I didn't see installation on here, but.
And I know what I can do too is I can clarify with Ms. Polakevich tomorrow too, just to
Okay.
move back on that.
Okay,
I can do that
perfect.
As well.
Thank you. There aren't any other questions. The next item on our agenda is over to Mr. Toko, the bond architect.
Thank you. With our upcoming bond, we've already locked down, or chose McCarthy Smith as our construction management company. This is the architect who has been working with McCarthy Smith and the district for over 30 years. TMP Architecture, we will be retaining them as a district architect for the upcoming bond. TMP has been our longstanding architectural partner and has been instrumental in the success of our past bond initiatives. TMP has provided us with a total pre-bond fee based on our current needs at $35,400. However, TMP will provide the pre-bond services at zero cost should the bond vote be successful.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Toko?
I got one quick question. When we went to the conference, the MSAB conference, I think Planet Moran had a real point, something, they said they do stuff with bonds too. I don't know, are they like separate with the TMP?
They
and then
do,
the Planet Moran?
Plant Moran works with districts in regards to bonds, and they do multiple things. When I mean multiple things, it could be construction management, it could be consulting in the financial space. There's so many things that they do. I haven't used them here, we haven't used them here, but I've used them in other districts. They're a good company to work with too. But we've been with these, and I was satisfied with everything that I've heard from people who have worked with them, worked in the district. And they'll be here in December along with McCarthy Smith, just to give you a heads up with that. They'll be here presenting really the celebration of our bond, because they'll finish it up, and then they'll start to discuss where we're at in the process of the next bond. And so we just met today, and that will be in our December board meeting. So they'll have a video and pictures and stuff like that.
That's cool, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, then I will now turn it over to Mrs. Claire for the final three items on our finance agenda.
Okay, the first thing is the state aid status report. We've got our first state aid payment for this fiscal year. So it doesn't have a lot of items on it yet, because a lot of the UAL and some of the other categoricals don't start showing up until November and December. A couple notes about it is our at-risk is 8.4. Last year it was 7.8, so we do have about 600,000 there extra this year. And another thing, as you can see on the second page where they're taking back the payments for that 3 million property tax that was already booked last year, the payments were set up as a payable, so that will not affect our bottom line this year. That's just
paying back the money. They're allowing us to pay it back over time.
Jewel, where is that listed? I'm sorry.
It's on the very, the back page of the state aid status report. It has where they took back the $68,750. The total.
Oh, I see it. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
it
you.
was
Supplemental.
2.9, but
Okay.
that's just one payment. They're gonna take one out of each of our monthly.
Okay.
But that really it's not coming out of revenue. It's already booked last year.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, and then the next item, if you, any more questions on that?
No,
Okay,
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have none.
okay, the next item is our, investment report. A couple things to note, if you can see the bonds, the 2023 bonds is gone down from like 26 million to 12 million, because we're really paying, McCarthy and Smith. We're finishing out these, final books of, bid packs, and poor Mr. Toko has had to go from building to building and check everything
But we
before.
should be completed with all bond projects by the time we come back from winter break, but they'll present in December, so.
So, yeah, that's why that fund has gone down. We've been getting those through and making all those payments. Our sinking fund has gone up from, tax payments coming in. And the internal service fund has gone down because I transferred money out of their account into general fund because we make all their payments. And every so often, we have to wire back money from them. That's why that has gone down. And that's about it for the differences. Our interest rate from last month has gone down a little bit too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions?
I just had one question. When we get all of our bond work complete, can we like invite all the different council members like throughout the cities that represent the Wayne Westland and do like a tour of our buildings? Cause I went to the city council meeting in Westland and it's like they don't come to our, you know what I'm saying? Like we need to be, well, they need to, be more involved, see what we're doing over here. Cause I know it's a lot of times people don't come over until it's like a problem, they're complaining, but they don't come and see the good stuff, So I definitely like to have even with the career tech, I've been talking to a lot of organizations and the principal to just do tours so they can see what we're doing over here.
Maybe we can get Mr. Toko to give bond tours.
Are you looking at bringing them to all of our buildings?
Like one little tour, like a little bus, and we can go like to the building, see all our bond work and all
Take
the.
the vans.
Yeah, the vans, yeah.
We could, if that's something that you're, interested in us doing, we could make it, and we can invite, them to see we'll do an invite and then see how many people RSVP when they come.
Or maybe even invite just buildings at this day, this building, and so
Yeah.
forth.
And we
That way
can
too.
set up something where we
Yeah.
can, and I'll give you an example of what we could do. We put gymnasiums in all our elementaries in the last bond, besides one, and we're gonna put it in the next bond at Walker Winter. That would be, and then we could take them to one of the elementaries and show them one of our, our highlighted projects, and then talk about, and I'm just speaking to see if that's something you would think that
Yeah.
you wanna do. Talk about how we put air conditioning in all of our buildings at this point, besides one, which we will be doing. And we can talk about the playgrounds, show them a couple playgrounds. We could make it work, do about an hour tour.
And then we can invite the news too, cause all that positive press, we wanna bring in more kids, and they're like, oh my God, cause when we went to, the conference over in, Lansing, like I talked to one of the board members in East Point, I'm like, y'all gotta come see, cause they didn't know all the stuff we had over here.
Well, they're gonna present in December, so if you have a connection with the news or someone, have them come to the board meeting, cause that's when they're gonna present the PowerPoint and the pictures and everything with the highlights of the bond. That would be a good time for the media to be there. But the thing that you're talking about, we can schedule in the first of the year and see how many people respond.
Yeah, because when I went to the conference, we went over to Harper Woods. They gave us a tour of their Career Technical Center. Like they're building houses with container homes. They had like a whole brand new music studio, printer. They had some really cool things, but you never know unless you see it.
We took Risa through CTE last year. So,
Do we have a, house being built
Yes.
this year?
yeah.
Well, maybe we can do it around there. I know when I, came up with the idea and shared it with Mel, I was just talking about the career tech. Now, she done made it big. Well, I was just talking about inviting, council people, especially the ones from Inkster and the other
We could
areas.
sprinkle
I was-
CTE in.
yeah.
And we could sprinkle a couple bond projects. in
Oh,
with it.
okay, that would be great, yes.
Yeah, we
That
can
would
do
be great, cause they don't know, and I know we have a conflict with our meeting at the same time as Inkster's meeting is. So, you know, just to let them see, our kids
I
had,
don't disagree with
they
that.
got gravy here, what can I
I'd rather
say?
get good media than bad media.
Yeah,
Just real quick, another thing that we can do is, we could always sponsor the MASB award dinner, and then that would bring all the districts in.
That's a good idea.
So if that's something that we wanna do, I don't know what the process is or the protocol, if that's something that the board has to vote on, but, I can take it back to the CASPA to let them know if that's something we're interested in doing.
Our kids do
And
a
it
good
happens
job
in
with that
April,
deal, too.
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
so.
Because they did it one year with Chef Tony. It was like 5-star beyond. It was amazing.
Yeah, they did like a 4-course meal.
With the flambe, yeah.
So, okay, well then we can pick that back up, and move us to the check register.
Yep. So. I have it here. Here it is. So. Yeah, we spent $6 million this year. I mean, this month, not this year, that'd be nice. Yeah, so it's, and a lot of it is McCarthy and Smith and, other vendors that are, you know, finishing up the bond.
Are
If you
there-
ever have any questions on a vendor or what we're paying them for, you can always just let me know and I'll get all the information or look it up for you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions at this point? Nope. All right, thank you. So, next, that's you.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to call the question. 217.25 Superintendent Evaluation Check-in, Ms. May.
Thank you. So at this time, we, when we had our initial superintendent meeting, we talked about having, various checkpoints or check-in points, and so this is one of our check-in points tonight. And so, Mrs. Curry has prepared really brief, just an overview of her current goals and how things are progressing, and this is an opportunity for us to ask any questions that we may have. This is also an opportunity for her to let us know if she needs to tweak any of her goals or even tweak any of the artifacts or evidence that we've asked for that will be presented later. And at that point, I'll turn it over.
Thank you. I know each of you got an updated copy, what was originally in the finance packet. It's very similar, but there's just a few. So, oh, well, hold on. Let's- All right, so review of each goal. The first goal was enhance transparent communication and strengthen relationships between families, school, and the community. And as far as goal progress, as of, I'll just say as of today, is as you know, there's been several community events from the trunk or treat. There's been the diet culture and body image community forum. We've had 2 community engagement meetings. The second one was today around student well-being. The first one was around transportation. Some initial feedback from the transportation, which will be coming up soon. Dr. O'Feely and Mr. Kundrick are working on is a job fair coming up probably in December or January. We actually, from what I understand, we have 4 bus drivers on deck to be hired or within the hiring process. So word is definitely getting out. We're also starting to take a look at, we realize that students are missing the bus, right, as you know, because of not missing the bus. We're canceling routes, so they're not able, so we're starting to track that data to see if those students are still getting to school. I just think it's another important piece of information that we gather, so we have all the facts before we continue to look at decisions and what else needs to be done in order to get our students to school. I do have monthly meetings with the union presidents. I also have cross-department meetings, so here in central office, everybody from each department, we come in bi-weekly and we meet as a team, whether it's strategic goals or just what people need to know from different department to make sure that we're staying aligned. There has been online surveys, FAQs so far created from those community engagements and other things, along with newsletters. We're gonna start, myself, Ms. Polakevich, Mr. Toko are gonna start meeting with our school senates at the high schools. So our first meeting, I believe, is with Wayne High in 2 weeks. And schools will soon, actually in 2 weeks, start presenting about their schools at the start of the board meeting. So there's progress for the first goal, and I can pause if you have questions. Or we can save questions till the end.
What would you all like to do? Do you want to ask your questions now if there are any
Yeah,
questions?
because we,
As we go,
forget.
just so it doesn't
Okay.
get lost,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect.
I have a question.
Sure.
So would this go in the process of, in progress of this goal, how's it going for you?
Very well.
So you don't need to change nothing,
I
add,
don't-
or?
No, I think as each month, right, or each happening, or as things evolve, I think we think of more ideas or how we can even get better each day. So I'll just give the example with what happened with the football games, right? From there, from meeting with the administration to meeting with teachers, we also, and the teachers were even too like, can you please come meet with our senates and really start to get their voice in. So I think there's gonna be even more and more of that, just as things happen and as we get better at what we're doing each day. I truly feel that the team that I work with is very solid, departments as well. One thing you'll see near the end, which we're gonna be adding to our strategic plan, is I think we need to get better at is system and processes. And I'll speak to that more as we go, because I think that as each department has those system and processes and we get them down to the building, it just makes all of us better from communication and so forth. But knock on wood. So
Any
far,
other
so good.
questions? So I have two.
Yeah.
One is a follow-up just to the student senate. So is this a space where, I know this is new, but as you're evolving this, will you start to have the conversation? And do we need to start to have a conversation as a board where we talked about potentially having a student representative on the board?
Yes.
So.
Yep, and I
okay.
think we would, as a board too, like to look at what we want that process
Right.
to be, right? Because we know that just, what we don't wanna happen is we pick this school and not that school, right? So truly as a team, and that evolves, what do we see that whole coming, is it, and it doesn't even necessarily have to come from student senate, it could truly be a process that's evolved that puts out to both, or all three of our high schools, and then comes from there as well, like an application or something like that. But yeah, and then I think too, just, I've had a couple even students reach out to me from the high schools and literally come in and meet with me, right? So, and it's even, yes, listening to them, hearing them, and also then even encouraging them to connect them back with their schools at the same time. We want them to have a voice, but we also want them to also understand other perspectives and things too, right? So it's that balance is what's happening, and I think that by the three of us going in and even just starting with the student senate groups, because you have 9th through 12th graders, right? That's a very powerful group of kids, but we also don't want to miss the other voices, right? Just
Absolutely.
because you're not on student senate doesn't mean you don't have a voice. So it's working through those channels too. And getting our administrators and our teachers and so forth too, to be part of that. So we'll be taking Mr. Gildersleeve into the meeting with us as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then and we don't have to necessarily, maybe that's a goal for next year, right? So this is the process to get to that, right?
Yeah,
Because
so-
it has to evolve and grow.
Yeah, so I'm thinking by probably, and it could even be by, even if it's February or even that the application starts to evolve, right? It doesn't matter whether we have students starting in June or whether it's starting in October. I think once we get that process solidified, and then we can, as a board and as a team, move forward on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I saw Dr. Weaver's hand, and I have another one after him. But
Yeah, it might be good, is we're thinking about that, to spread the wealth and do 9 students in a year instead of 1 for the whole year.
Oh, you mean like rotate them monthly even at a meeting?
Yeah, 3 for each high school during the
Okay.
school year.
Yeah, I think that we might even, maybe we even do like a study session or something before to really work through all of those intricacies that we're seeing, right? Because if we have someone monthly, we also don't want them, is it just for that month and what's going on, or like, because I'm thinking probably to connect them at the longer scope. So whether it's a commitment of the entire school year, or at least, 3 months to get them involved a little more in depth at first to see how it functions, or how we even function, and then they have their part as well. I don't know if just one meeting would give them that. But I think we'd have to think through that.
And I do like the idea of having a workshop for us to talk about that
Yeah.
and to study and find out like how some other districts are doing it and pulling that information to
Right.
support. So, if that's something that we're looking at, I'll be more than happy to gather some information around
That
that.
would be great.
Okay. And then the only other question I have for you around this goal is there any support that you need from the board at this time?
No, I think just continue the support that you give, right? By showing up, being there, asking questions, all of those things. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so the next, so this is by 2025, all teachers will provide evidence of competency and implementation of literacy essentials and disciplinary literacy essentials as measured by surveys, classroom observations, data conversations, foundational skills, and NWA. It mirrors right within our strategic plan. So progress, and I brought some other hard copies if you'd like to see them, because there's quite a few links in here. But I brought so far up to all of our professional development that we've had around those areas. We are going to be having a progress monitoring or our fall data presentation in the next 2 weeks to go over all of our performances as well. And you'll also see, I can give you some, I didn't want to print out too much for you because I know you've probably already seen what the schedules of have been for our professional development days around these areas. But if you want to see some hard copies of what specific groups we're looking at, content areas and so forth, I brought some copies.
So
Yeah.
quick question. So
Sure.
what's on the screen is different from what's in front of us, and then I'm gonna ask, because these are live links. So do
Yes.
we have the latest in the email that came to us?
Yep, so
Or is
tomorrow you'll have in the board updates as well, this presentation with
Okay.
all of these in
Okay.
there. So I didn't want, first I was gonna even print them all, but I just made a copy, so, what you'll see is, and this is truly on me, Jenny Johnson was really tightening everything this morning, or yesterday, and then I just, as more artifacts that I had, I just started adding them in.
Okay.
But you'll be able to click on even all those tomorrow and go through them all.
Okay, perfect.
And a lot of them will be very familiar to you just because through district communication or especially the literacy alignment, you heard a lot about the task force last year, continue work that we're doing this year. The 9-12 5-year plan for our secondary teams is something that I've been working with Ms. Polakevich. She's been working really closely with our secondary principals on. And I can at any time too, if you want more hard copies too, we can even have, we can have those ready for you as well. And then here is I'll give you a copy of this one. Here is the secondary, the 9-12 alignment. And then here is, I'll at least give you these and you won't have, there's the August 23rd PD. So there's just some hard artifacts there. And then you'll have, in 2 weeks, Mr. Orban, Mrs. Schultz, and Mr. Bessick will present an update on our NWA fall data along with attendance. Okay, questions? Right, after goals, I went and added, so for the artifact piece, I just, and I know you guys, you've seen this as well, I just started, I'm gonna call it Artifact Hub. And I just kind of started, putting all the links in there and just remind myself, like on my own calendar, to go in and just add things, so that way not, in June, I'm not shoving them all in there. So, and I can print these at any times for you as well, but you'll see under governance and board relations, I started putting in the meeting agendas for the board. I put in the year at a glance as far as, so we know every month for the board meetings, what are gonna be the presentations as far as the school, and what are the topics of the community engagement meeting. School relations, school visits. What I'll do is, I was even thinking for that, I can kind of give you just either, whether it's just sharing my calendar so you can see it, or just doing a sheet, right, of like when I was at each school. The cross-departmental meetings, I do keep running agendas with all my meetings, and we keep the minutes right on there. So that could be something, again, whether it was my calendar or just, hey, I shared the agenda and it's running. Under instructional leadership, we do have a curriculum guide, a PLC implementation guide, MTSS guide, teacher evaluation timeline. So I also don't wanna like overwhelm, but at the same, I think when we get to the update on what I wanna do with the strategic and plan with the system and processes, you'll see a lot of overlap, which I think will be really, really good. So that's just how I'll start to house all the artifacts, and what I can even do is, maybe even on like the weekly updates, I'll just keep it in there every week, so you can always go to it and revisit it. Okay, so now the strategic plan. So, as you know, we've had a human resource goal, the academic goal, which you saw tonight, and then we've had a CCR goal and an SEL goal. So at our cross-department team, where we really start where each department's represented, is that we all agree that after reviewing that the CCR goal is not gonna be a standalone, that's just embedded in curriculum instruction. So what we all felt the need for within the team is a goal around system and processes. So within the plan, we are gonna be adding a challenge statement around this, which is, if we develop and implement comprehensive systems and processes in every department, then will we create a more cohesive and efficient school district? So we're gonna be revisiting that challenge statement next week, and then we're gonna be looking at these 2 drafts of goals. So it's still a work in progress. So once everybody at the cross-department meeting, which is business department, CIA department, human resources, and everybody, once we agree on this draft, then the next step will be, is that I'll be meeting with each leader of the department, which would be Mr. Toko, Mr. O'Feely, and they would agree with theirs to develop system and processes. Now what that's gonna look like, and I wish, Jenny, if you are able to click on that department system and processes for me.
If I could just say something
Yeah.
here. Can we go back?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
I notice you use the word if. Maybe a better word there might be when we develop.
Oh, like if we, so I'm glad you said that. So the challenge statement is kind of like a if-then. So it's like we're taking on we're taking on the challenge, and that's why we have the word if, because if we do this, then this will happen. Now though, Dr. Reba, to your point, that's why like then we have the very specific goals. So like we take on the challenge, and then if we accept that challenge and we follow through, then we're gonna meet our goals. So it's, even though the word if is there, it's more of like if we're telling it, if you do this, then this will happen. So that's kind of like the, I don't know, like that's the target, to get to these 2 different places.
Okay.
So to start that, what I did, and actually Mr. Toko hasn't even seen this, even if this is what they're gonna see next week, is we already have, we have system and processes in our district. We have quite a few. But the goal is really for each department to own them, know them, share them, and train people on them. So if you look at the bottom tab, administrative services, anything within that realm, so facilities, enrollment, everything that lives in there, is that I'm gonna use the word brain dump, as I just did a brain dump of all the system and processes in my experience that we have within the district, or that we may need. And so it's to really get the teams thinking. And then I took what do we already have and already started inserting them. So if you look at facilities management, and then the description, right, our facilities maintenance, those are already current processes that we have. And then Mr. Toko would work with his team or Gino, right, to even gather others. Same with enrollment and registration. Well, what is our process? What does it look like? Student discipline. You know, what are our processes for managing student behavior? So the idea is to have it electronically, and then by the end also, so that if this entire team disappears one day, we'd also have a hard copy of it. And to say, this is how we do it. So, you know, Mr. Toko, Jen Curry is no longer here, and someone's wondering, well, where is our disciplinary handbook, or what do we do? It gives them that spot.
That's excellent.
So that is the goal. And even Jenny, if you could just click on maybe the communication tab at the bottom, just I'll show you guys one more. So again, like anything within our communications department. So each and every one. So it's a work in progress, but the goal is by June to have this complete, to have each department have all of their system and problems published, so then we can spend the following year training people on the processes. So I don't, necessarily add it to my goal. I mean, I could, I'm gonna do it regardless, right? So it's kind of one of those, like just a project along the way that needs to be done. So, questions?
And one thing for technology, are we working on the system with our computers? Like, we give them out, get them back, like a process this time?
Yep, so I'm glad you said that. So under technology, that will be part of it. So you'll see that from support to distributing to software management. And these were initially things too that, like Mr. Toko knows his area and I don't. So I did a brainstorm, and he might truly say, you know what, Jen? Actually, we don't need a process for that, but we need is X, Y, and Z. So I did this is more to really get their departments thinking of like what type of system and processes would live within their realm, and then go from there. So to answer your question, yes, so that Mr. Beebe would put on here, here's how we deploy technology, or here's how we keep inventory of it. And it's mainly, yes, accountability piece, but it's also so that as people leave, right, other people aren't walking into having to spend 6 months trying to figure out what they should be doing or what is needed. So, and that is it. Next slide is my question slide, and that's all I got.
Any questions?
I have a comment. I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you. I don't want to speak for the board. I think that you are doing an excellent job, and just even thinking ahead, if we not here, somebody come in here and they know what to do. That's very important to have.
Yeah, thank you, and I think especially, we're a very large district. So I mean,
Right.
there's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces, and they all have to work together, right? So I don't need to know everything, but Scott and I, or, Dr. O'Feely and I, we've got to know how each other run and within each other departments as well. We can't work in silos.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say something as well, just like Ms. Abney Mitchell said, we do appreciate that, because when we get more organized, so we can bring our staff back. Maybe the people that left might say, well, what, things are better, they might want to come back, because we lost a lot, with the confusion and with us having the transparency and then putting out the good media, the news, like always the good news, and bring students back and staff, like qualified people.
Yeah.
So, for me, thank you for this update. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Again, as we are coming to the end of everything that you've presented, is there any support that you need from the board at this juncture?
No, just your continued support. So I know that any one of you, or, every one of the board members, I can ask a question, or if I need something, so just that open communication. And I appreciate questions, feedback, and everything. So I think the more that we can continue to have conversations, just to keep us all on the same page, the better. So,
Awesome.
But thank you.
So, one of the things that I will say is that I do appreciate everything that you've shared this evening. To piggyback on what you said in terms of not necessarily knowing everything, right? That's not an expectation, but I think it's important for people to know where to get information, right? So often it's, I don't know, but then where do you go to get the information, right? And then nobody knows where to go to get the information. So to create a living document that has that information there, I think is very powerful. So thank you for doing that. Shifting back kind of into the evaluation piece, right? So there's also the part about the MyKIP goals. And so what I just wanted to say around those are the district-wide goals, and so that piece to me is we'll see some of that when the buildings are coming
Yes.
and presenting, right?
Yes.
And so I just wanted to lift that piece so that no one thought that we missed that.
Yes, I'm
right?
glad you said that because you're gonna see a lot of the connections come in at the start of every board meeting. So, when they just do their overview of academics, achievement, involvement of stakeholders, you should start to see a lot of the same things here aligned. You're gonna see literacy come into play. You're gonna see communicating with their stakeholders. So yes, I'm glad you lifted that.
And then what I would like to ask, when we move into that, so just like we have these every meeting, if we could just have a copy of the strategic plan. So then that way we have that to compare with the presentation so that we can make those connections, right? That
Yeah.
we just have it. It's kind of like a standing part of what's here.
Yep.
And does anyone else have anything? No? All right, thank you. Turning it back over to you, Dr. Rivera.
Thank you, Ms. May. I do want to say that this evaluation check-in is giving us a much closer look as a board into the intricacies of the superintendent's office. And I want to thank you for that. And think that you're doing a very admirable job, Ms. Curry. Item 218.25, citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Very well, we're moving on. 219.25, interim superintendent's reports and comments. Ms. Curry.
First and foremost, congratulations to the newly elected board members. I look really forward to working with each and every one of them. Also, today we had our community engagement meeting and student well-being was the topic. Our team did a fabulous job presenting. It was a very similar presentation to what was presented last month. We did have, I think, over about 25 community members. We got some really good feedback from them and even ideas for even some future community meetings. And I also appreciate the feedback tonight and the dialogue. And I believe it or not, I love the evaluation process because I do believe it is about growth and that we're all learning. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Curry. Item 220.25, recommendations, Board of Education, Ms. Hines.
Yes, I'd like to say we were able to attend the Michigan Association of School Boards annual leadership conference, and it was amazing. I mean, we got so much information. They had great speakers, and then the nice thing is always getting different information to bring back to the district. Like we had met with the Fenton Public Schools. They did a presentation on new board member onboarding. And it's important, to kind of be organized and, being a new board member, it's a little, anxiety because you don't know what to expect, and just having like a smooth process and transition was awesome. I got to meet with a lot of different board members, East Point, and when we're at the conference, I want to definitely have other people come and visit our schools and see what we do. I joined this organization, like the National Association of Women, like in executive, like entertainment. So they have like a literacy program with like publications and stuff like that. So I've been on the radio station a couple of weeks in a row with over in Highland Park. And so they're interested in, coming to our school and working with Mr. Watkins and doing stuff with the kids and doing like a little, like weekend type, public, the kids come and interview, like little things. So something to kind of help the kids get into journalism and entertainment and stuff like that. So different groups. And then when I worked the election on, Tuesday, I saw some people from the election. I said, hey, come, we have our coffee hour. So Mr. John came down, to meet you in person. And so I try to like put it on my Facebook, really try to promote the good things in Wayne Westland and have people come more involved. And we do have our Kiwanis meetings on the second Tuesday at the Westland Library at 3:15, and the fourth Tuesday we're gonna have them at Wayne over at the US 12. So that way I'm trying to integrate Wayne and Westland. And then we have a Key Club at John Glenn High School. An organization spent $400 to get them started. So I'm working on one in Wayne, kind of just, because when it comes to literacy, we lost a lot of money with the state, so I want to definitely have programs to help the kids, in that area. So it's just exciting being a part of Wayne Westland. Like I said, just definitely get all the good news out. We definitely want to continue to increase our enrollment and, really make it an amazing place. And that's it.
All right, Ms. May?
Thank you. So first of all, congratulations to Mr. Ambrose and to Mr. Roshan, as well as to Dr. Weaver, returning to the board. Excited to continue the work that we've been doing. Like Mrs. Hines and Dr. Weaver, we attended the MASB conference. I was able to share in a conversation with Mrs. Curry last week about there was a session I attended on cell phone policy, and I know that came up at our last board meeting. And so I do have some information that I'd like to share with the entire board. So I will bring that to our meeting on Monday, so that if we decide to start to have those conversations, we at least have some information with that we can look at and some districts that we can call upon. Also, I shared with President Gray some information in regards to the onboarding, so I'll be emailing that out because I also attended the particular session with Fenton Schools, and so their information was very, very helpful. So I'd like to share that. Also attended some CBA classes, and I'll talk more about those at our next board meeting, but just wanted to piggyback on some of the learning that took place over that weekend, and just really thankful for the opportunity to not only be in a space with fellow board members, but to have the opportunity to learn and to learn from a different lens or perspective of education, right? So I appreciate that. And Mrs. Curry, I appreciate your update in regards to your board, your goals, and this engaging in this process in this way. It does feel really good. It's enlightening to the rest of us, and it allows us to not only learn more about the district, but it allows the community to learn about the hard work that's happening within the district, and not that it's, because everything looks really easy, right? So people don't always know the things that go on behind the scenes. So thank you for putting forth all the effort that you've been putting forth to engage our community. Thank you.
Ms. Abney Mitchell?
Yes, good evening, and like everyone else, I would like to congratulate and welcome Andrew Shannon and, of course, Dr. Weaver to the board, and I look forward to working with you guys, and I'm very excited. It takes me back when I got elected in my first day in January. So I'm excited about that. I will give you a tip that I didn't know, that I could bring my own Bible to take the oath of office. I did not know that, so I'm giving you that tip. You can bring your own Bible if that's what you choose, and you can have your own person give you the oath of office. I'm just excited. I'm excited about all the work that the interim superintendent is doing. She's doing a great job, and she's willing to work with us. I haven't had one time that I had a conversation with her that she told me, oh, wait a minute. She's always available. You hear good things about her in the community. Thank you for your service to the Wayne Westland School District. And thank you to my fellow board members. It's a joy working with them also. And just thank you. And we appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody. This is not easy work to do. You know. That's all I have, cause, oh, Jewel, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Kim. It's like, this is not easy work to do. I've been in different districts and seeing different lenses, and the work is hard, but what makes it easy and pleasant is the people that you work with. You know, getting a phone call, getting an email at 6:30 in the morning, the routes of the bus been canceled and everything. You know, that's not only frustrating to the parents, to the community, to the children, it's also frustrating to the staff. Kim don't want to send out those emails, I'm sure. And you know, we just have to work together, and I'm just so happy that 4 people is going through the process of being hired for the bus, and everybody's looking at me like, you don't know what you're talking about anyway, so be quiet. See how they do me? Look at her, she turned her head to me. But no, I just appreciate everybody, and it's hard work. It's hard work. And we appreciate the fact that you was willing to take the task on. I don't know what happened that I just all of a sudden got emotional. But thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Abney Mitchell.
I don't know what happened.
I'm sorry, were you finished?
She's finished.
All right.
See,
Don't worry, that's been said about me a few times as well. MSB was great, the conference, and I too will have more to say about that. But thank you to Ms. Curry again for all of the information. It's good to get the insight into the superintendent's office, and I appreciate that. You know, sometimes as board members, we hear so much negativity because not our community, but everyone is almost programmed at this point to hear the negative. And very few want to hear anything about the positive. But as I've traveled the district this year, I'm seeing a different story. Today I went to Taft Galloway. The teachers, were performing, they were on task. The kids were quiet and on a mission in the classroom. I even got to go into a choir class today, and they sang the Candy Cane song to me. Who knew? I didn't know there was a Candy Cane song, but now there is. And the building just looked so great. And so parents, community members that may be watching on YouTube, we have so many things in this district to be thankful for. And I am proud to be a part of it for the next 6 years. Mr. Ambrose and Mr. Roshan as well. And I believe they will be a positive influence on the board. I know that we have gone through, again, negativity in the last year or so, but I believe that we can now move forward in a positive direction, and so I am thankful for that. And that concludes my comments for tonight. My next question is there anyone interested in adjournment?
Can I, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking out of turn. I'm very sorry for that. I just wanted to thank the community for voting for
Oh,
my God, yeah.
our operating millage, heavily rollback we'll get our full 18 mills now for 20 years. Thank you, everyone out there in our enhancement millage. That money does a lot of great things here too, so we're really, really happy that they did that for us.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that to the attention of the board.
Yes, thank you.
I think we all knew it, we just had other things to say. But that has
I
been
think this,
and is very important to our district.
I think Jen just overwhelmed us with all her stuff.
Item 221.25, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Hines, supported by Abney Mitchell. All those in favor, say aye.